Have you ever been deep in the woods and suddenly felt that prickly sensation? You're not alone. The birds go silent, the air thickens, and every sound seems amplified. You scan the trees, but there's nothing, just shadows and silence. Yet the feeling of being watched lingers, growing stronger, as the sun dips and the woods darken. Every snap of a twig feels deliberate, every rustle closer than before. Tonight, I'm sharing 3 true stories that prove the scariest things in the woods aren't always wild animals, but what you can't see and can't explain. These are tales from people who sought peace in the wilderness, but found something else entirely. So, turn down the lights, get comfortable, and prepare yourself for a terrifying encounter with your scariest thoughts. Moments that will make you want to click on a different video, but out of curiosity in the second story, you won't be able to stop watching and listening. I'm not here to scare you, but to make you aware of the mysteries of the unknown, a time others were not as fortunate as you. So kindly like this video and subscribe to our channel for more bone-chilling stories. The forest's sudden silence is always a warning. It's a sound that isn't a sound at all. A hush that falls so completely, it feels like the world is holding its breath. If you've ever spent time in the woods, you know that silence is never truly silent. There's always the rustle of leaves, the distant call of a bird, the hum of insects. But when all of that vanishes at once, it's as if the forest itself is trying to tell you something. That's how it started for me on Raven's Ridge. I'd hiked there before, always alone, always at peace. But that evening, something felt different the moment I stepped onto the trail. The air was thick, almost expectant, as if the trees were watching me. I was 3 miles in, the sun low, the woods painted gold. The light slanted through the branches, turning the world into a patchwork of shadows and fire. It was beautiful, the kind of beauty that makes you forget to be afraid. Then, nothing. No birds, no insects, just a heavy, unnatural quiet. The kind of silence that presses against your ears, making your own heartbeat sound too loud. I stopped, listening, hoping for a sign that I wasn't alone. I froze, hand on my bear spray, scanning the trees. Every instinct screamed at me to turn back, but curiosity and stubbornness kept me rooted to the spot. My eyes darted from shadow to shadow, searching for movement. That's when I saw it. A tall, slender shadow gliding between the pines, moving with impossible smoothness, making no sound. It was as if it was part of the darkness itself, slipping through the trees like a wisp of smoke. My breath caught in my throat. It wasn't a hiker. It wasn't an animal. It was like a living shadow, moving against the light, darker than the night itself. Its shape was wrong, too tall, too thin, its limbs bending in ways that made my skin crawl. I felt a chill run down my spine, colder than the evening air. I tried to shake it off, kept walking, but the feeling of being watched grew unbearable, a cold weight pressing on my back. Every step felt heavier, as if the forest itself was trying to hold me in place. I could feel eyes on me even when I couldn't see anything. Then, footsteps, heavy, deliberate, matching my pace exactly. They echoed mine, never ahead, never behind, always perfectly in sync. It was as if something was mimicking me, step for step, refusing to let me out of its sight. When I stopped, they stopped. The silence would return, thick and suffocating, broken only by the pounding of my heart. I strained to hear anything else, but there was nothing, just the knowledge that I was not alone. When I walked, they followed. No matter how quietly I tried to move, the footsteps matched me, never faltering, never missing a beat. It was like being haunted by my own shadow, except this one felt hungry. Panic took over. I broke into a run, crashing down the trail, the footsteps thundering behind me, faster, heavier, relentless. Branches whipped at my face, roots threatened to trip me, but I didn't dare slow down. I could feel the presence gaining on me, closing the distance with every stride. I never looked back. I just ran, the shadow always at the edge of my vision, impossibly fast, never falling behind. It seemed to flicker in and out of sight, always just beyond the reach of the fading light, always there. The parking lot lights appeared through the trees, a beacon. I'd never been so grateful for the harsh glare of artificial light. It felt like salvation, a promise of safety just out of reach. I sprinted, burst from the woods, and dove into my car, locking the doors with shaking hands. My chest heaved, lungs burning, as I fumbled for the keys. I half expected to see the shadow standing at the edge of the lot, waiting for me to let my guard down. When I finally looked back, the woods were empty. The footsteps stopped the moment I left the trail. The silence returned, but it was different now, charged, electric, as if the forest was disappointed I'd escaped. The silence was back, but now it felt menacing, as if something was still watching from the darkness. I sat in my car, staring into the trees, waiting for another sign, another movement. But there was nothing, just the memory of that impossible shadow. I haven't returned to Raven's Ridge. I can't explain what happened, but I know what I saw and what I heard. Sometimes I wonder if anyone would believe me, or if the forest keeps its secrets for a reason. Sometimes late at night I still hear those slow, deliberate footsteps outside my window. They're never loud, never hurried, just patient, as if whatever followed me home is waiting for the right moment to be seen again. The silence of the woods used to bring me peace. Now, it terrifies me. I find myself listening for sounds that aren't there, dreading the moment when the world goes quiet again. Because when the woods go quiet, it's not always for you. Sometimes it's for something else. Listening, watching, waiting. The forest is old, and there are things in it older still, things that move in silence and shadow. And I was lucky to get away. Not everyone does. In Cedar Bend, everyone knows the legend of the lost camper, Leo, who vanished 20 years ago without a trace. His story is told around campfires, whispered in hushed tones by locals and hikers alike. Some say he was an experienced outdoorsman. Others claim he was just a wanderer passing through. But everyone agrees, what happened to Leo remains one of the greatest mysteries of these woods. His car was found at the trailhead, wallet and phone inside, but Leo was never seen again. The authorities searched for days, combing the forest with dogs and volunteers, but not a single clue turned up. It was as if the woods had swallowed him whole, leaving only his belongings behind as a silent reminder. The official story is, he got lost. But locals whisper that something in the woods took him. Some talk of strange lights at night, others of eerie sounds echoing through the trees. There are even tales of people feeling watched, or glimpsing shadowy figures darting between the trunks when the fog rolls in. Last summer, my cousin Mark and I decided to find Leo's old campsite, following a hand-drawn map from an old-timer. The map was yellowed and creased, marked with cryptic notes and warnings. We packed our gear, determined to see if the stories were true, and set out early, hearts pounding with a mix of excitement and dread. After hours of searching, we found it. A mossy tent in a clearing, boots neatly outside, everything inside frozen in time, sleeping bag, book, canteen, all untouched for decades. The air felt heavy, as if the forest itself was holding its breath. It was like stepping into a photograph from the past. Every detail preserved in eerie stillness. The tent was zipped from the outside. Leo's boots were outside. It felt like a gravesite. We stood in silence, barely daring to breathe, the weight of the mystery pressing down on us. Why would someone leave everything behind so perfectly arranged? Then we saw them. Fresh footprints in the mud. Not ours. Bare feet, long toes, circling the tent over and over, then stopping at the creek's edge. The prints were so clear, it was as if they'd been made only moments before we arrived. We exchanged nervous glances, realizing we might not be alone. The prints didn't lead in or out, just endless circles, then vanished at the water. No sign of anyone crossing. The creek was shallow, but the mud on the other side was undisturbed. It was as if whoever or whatever made those prints had simply disappeared into thin air. The woods felt suddenly alive, menacing. Every shadow seemed to move, every sound a threat. The wind picked up, rustling the branches overhead, and we both felt a chill that had nothing to do with the temperature. It was as if the forest was watching us, waiting to see what we would do next. We left in silence, the feeling of being watched never leaving us until we reached the car. Neither of us spoke, afraid that even a whisper might draw unwanted attention. The walk back felt endless, every step echoing with the memory of those footprints. I glanced back, swore I saw the tent flap move, as if someone inside was watching. For a moment, I thought I saw a shadow shift behind the fabric, but when I blinked, it was gone. My heart pounded in my chest as I hurried to catch up with Mark. We never spoke of it again. Who would believe us? A perfectly preserved campsite, footprints that appear from nowhere and lead to nothing. Sometimes I wonder if we should have told someone, but deep down, I know the truth would only bring more questions. I don't know what happened to Leo, but something is still out there, circling his empty tent, waiting. Maybe it's the same thing that left those footprints. Or maybe it's Leo himself, trapped between worlds, searching for a way home. And sometimes, when the wind is just right, I wonder if it's Leo calling for help, or something else, luring you deeper into the woods. The legend of Cedar Bend lives on, a warning to those who wander too far from the path, and a reminder that some mysteries are never meant to be solved. Whispering Pines was just a local legend, one of those stories you'd hear whispered at sleepovers or around a campfire, the kind that made you shiver but laugh it off in the daylight. People in town said the woods were haunted, that strange things happened after dark, but no one really believed it. Not until the night we decided to see for ourselves. It was supposed to be an adventure, a dare to prove we weren't afraid, but everything changed the night we hiked it. 5 of us set out after dark, our laughter echoing as we tightened our packs and switched on our headlamps. The air was cool, heavy with the scent of pine and earth, and the forest seemed to swallow the last traces of daylight. Our headlamps cut through the black, casting long, shifting shadows that danced along the narrow path. The pines closed in around us like a cage, their branches arching overhead, blocking out the stars. Every step seemed to take us deeper into a world untouched by light. At first, it was just the wind, sighing through the needles, making the trees creak and sway. It was almost peaceful in a way, until it wasn't. Then, whispers, soft, sibilant, woven into the breeze, so faint you could almost convince yourself you imagined them. They lingered just at the edge of hearing, like secrets the forest didn't want to share. "You guys hear that?" I asked, my voice barely above a whisper. Sarah nodded, her eyes wide and searching the darkness. The others hesitated, glancing at each other. The others laughed it off, trying to shake the tension, but their voices sounded forced, too loud in the hush of the woods. Still, the feeling of being watched grew with every step. I kept glancing back, sure someone, or something, was following just out of sight. The darkness pressed in, thick and suffocating. Then, during a break, I saw it. A tall, thin figure standing motionless between the trees, its outline barely visible but unmistakably wrong. A silhouette darker than the night itself, perfectly still. I blinked, and it was gone, as if it had never been there at all. My friends swept their lights through the woods, calling out, but the only answer was the rustle of leaves and the pounding of my heart. Nothing. We hurried on, our footsteps quickening, the whispers growing louder and more insistent with every turn of the trail. Now the voices were inside my head, a mocking, menacing chorus that seemed to know my fears, repeating my name, taunting me with secrets I didn't want to hear. I clapped my hands over my ears, desperate to block them out, but the voices only intensified, swirling around me like a storm. Sarah looked terrified. The others were silent now, their faces pale in the glow of our headlamps. We moved faster, stumbling over roots and rocks, the trail twisting endlessly ahead. The woods felt alive, closing in, the whispers relentless, as if the forest itself wanted us gone. Then, finally through the trees, The orange glow of streetlights appeared ahead, like a promise, a lifeline. We ran, not daring to look back. We burst from the trees into the safety of the parking lot, breathless and shaking. The whisper stopped instantly, as if a door had slammed shut behind us. We left in silence, not speaking until we were far from whispering pines. The silence in the car was heavy, each of us lost in our own thoughts. I haven't been back since that night, and I don't think I ever will. Sometimes, when the wind howls at night and the trees outside my window sway, I still hear those voices, faint, mocking, just out of reach, as if the forest remembers me. I lie awake, listening, wondering if the whispers are real or just a memory. But deep down, I know the truth. The forest never really lets you go. The stories weren't just campfire tales. They were a warning, a reminder that some legends are born from real fear, and that the woods keep their secrets well. Some places are best left alone, untouched, their mysteries undisturbed, because there are things in the woods that watch, and wait, patient and silent, hidden just beyond the reach of your light, and whisper, and sometimes, those whispers follow you home, lingering in the shadows, waiting for the next time you dare to listen. The common thread in these stories isn't just the woods, it's that chilling moment when the natural world feels unnatural. These hikers sought peace but found something ancient and unsettling. The rustle of leaves becomes a footstep, a distant call, a warning. Next time the woods go quiet and your instincts tell you to turn back, listen. Sometimes, it's not just your imagination, sometimes you really are being watched. Share your own stories in the comments, and don't forget to like and subscribe for more true horror. Stay safe out there.